Welcome, everyone, to an impromptu Tommo's race Chinwag roll intro. You've seen the title, you've seen the thumbnail. Thank you all for coming. We finally have some breaking news to talk about. Something that just broke like half an hour ago. And I saw an article in a promptu time. So I was like, boom. Let's jump on it. Let's talk, everyone. Thank you all for coming, first and foremost. Rentsy, Craft, Neil, Hedge, Nick, Philip, Gooey, The Wilt, Dominic, Rochelle, Bailey, Hopla, John, Frederick, Pandry, Pablo, Louis, Lalo. Thank you all for coming. And thank you to everyone who's watching this live and everyone who's watching this after effects and everyone who's watching this on audio-only platforms, just through your ears. Here we go on screen. Boom. Audio only. Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google Podcast. Boom, boom, boom. However, we have news to discuss, and it is that at the end of this season, Franz Tost will be departing Alpha Tauri. This will be his final season in charge of the Faenza-based outfit that was Toro Rosso, and before that was Minardi, that Red Bull bought as their junior team and developed many a young talent. Franz Tost will be departing. Laurent Mekies will be moving from Ferrari. He's currently sporting director at Ferrari, moving before the end of the season. It's already been reported. It was being reported yesterday that Mekies was moving to Alpha Tauri, not as team principal. That wasn't being reported, but it was being reported that he was moving. And I guess you could have maybe assumed it would have been this move. But yeah, Mekies is moving to replace Franz Tost. It will be from the start of 2024. He'll be in charge. So Franz Tost will retain his position as team principal at that team until the end of this season. Mekies moves over. Also, there's other movement as well. There's Peter Bayer, who's moving from the FIA to become CEO at Alpha Tauri, which is very interesting. Very interesting. There's a lot of ways to look at this one. Yes, razor glass to French toast. To be fair, 18 years he's been in the sport. 18 years he's been in charge of well, I don't think, has he been in charge for 18 years? He's been at the helm for a very long time. And he's, 67? 68? Something like that. So, it's one of them that you look at Alpha Tauri's performances, they've been on the downturn. There's all this talk about the team being sold. There's various angles to look at this. And that's what I want to discuss in this live stream. I want to discuss the angles because, this could be just a man at the end of his, time in Formula One wanted to, again, he's almost 70. He's not far off 70. There's a time to retire, live your life, enjoy your retirement, calm. It's a high pressure environment. Boom. But maybe there's more to it than that. Who knows? But yeah, thank you all for coming. Chris, Damien, Viz, Julita, good to see you. Julita, Kyle, Chris, Beyond the Lizzie. Right, I want to do a few polls. So, first of all, poll number one. Does this move indicate to you that Red Bull are intending on selling Alpha Tauri? So what I'm saying is, do you see this, not just Franz Tost stepping aside, but Mekies coming in, Bayer coming in as well from the FIA to take the CEO job at Alpha Tauri at the end of the year? I think that's happening as well. Do you think that is a sign, this is anything to do with potentially Red Bull selling the team? Or do you think it's nothing to do with that? Do you think it's just a change that's completely unrelated to that potential eventuality? Because there's been rumours, there's been heavily substantiated rumours as well, that the team will be sold. There's been articles, there was an article yesterday talking about, apparently from, I think it was Racing 365 were reporting it, and apparently they had an offer for 800 million that was rejected from an undisclosed individual, team, organisation, whatever. $800 million rejected, apparently, allegedly. Who knows? But obviously there's been a lot of talk about, potentially relocating that team to England. And I saw this yesterday. I saw the article yesterday, and I was like, to me, that tells me that bringing Mekis in, who's he used to work for the FIA. To be fair, Mekis used to work for the FIA. And actually, Bayer now has just moved from the FIA to AlphaTauri. So they'll have a full ex-FIA hierarchy at AlphaTauri as well. So, if they get a good rub of the green, you know why. And moving to England makes sense for logistics, perhaps. Obviously, you've got that facility there. Now, I don't know how... I mean, I'm sure the Faenza facility is good. It's no MTC. It's no Himwell. It's... no Mercedes, which has a whole retail part to itself. It's one of the smaller teams for sure. It's down there with Haas in terms of that facility. So, yeah, I think a big component in why it makes sense for, rather than starting a team from scratch, to buy AlphaTauri is because of the resistance from within F1 to have an 11th team on the grid. It's always going to be an easier to just buy a pre-existing team, slap your logo on it, just like Jaguar did with Stewart. Before then they became Red Bull. Jaguar bought the Ford Stewart F1 team because Jaguar was owned by Ford at the time, weren't they? And Ford and Stewart were together because they had Ford engines. And then Jaguar was like, well, Ford, because they own Jaguar, they were like, I just slapped my wedding ring really up. And they just slapped the logo on the car. Boom, happy days. So, Tommo, don't fuel conspiracy theories. Sorry, Shanky, are we not meant to, can we not speculate then? Can we just not talk about things? Nonsense. Go away, Shanky, if you're not interested, all right? I'll talk how I want to talk, mate. You can bugger off if you don't like it. Could be a consolidation of team. Yeah, could be. We don't know. That's the thing. There's so many different, that's the one team of all teams. AlphaTauri is the one team that makes the most sense for someone to come in and buy. It was somewhat surprising to me. I guess Sauber made a lot of sense as well, because Sauber have historically always kind of, for want of a better term, pimped themselves out to BMW back in the day. They've had many affiliations with many different teams. And, you've got AlphaTauri that has a facility that exists and is there. That isn't the most impressive. So it's not like... The thing is with Audi buying Sauber, it's kind of like that Himmel facility is so impressive. It would be such a waste to move that team to Germany and just leave that facility just vacant. You know what I mean? The whole part, you've got that wind tunnel, which we know from how long we've been waiting for McLaren's wind tunnel. So it's still not online yet. How valuable having your own wind tunnel can be if it's utilised properly. So, you know what I mean? I think that I don't think there's those same ties, because I think AlphaTauri use Red Bulls, don't they? Because AlphaTauri do have some of their aero team based in the UK already, I think, to utilise their facility, to utilise their wind tunnel, and yeah, so moving the team over. I've got to say, right, and maybe I'll be the first to say, maybe this is because I have long believed that it's only a matter of time before this team gets sold and maybe that's probably why my mind immediately jumps to this being that it feels to me like they are prepping this team, getting this team into a place where it doesn't feel like a Red Bull B team anymore. And Franz Tost was a big part of why this was a Red Bull B team junior team. Franz Tost is the man ultimately who was given the responsibility to develop these young drivers, from Seb to Carlos to Daniel to Max to all of these young drivers who have come through and raced at Toro Rosso. Franz Tost was the person given responsibility for managing them and making sure that they are in the right place and they're doing the right things to then propel their careers on. And you think most juniors who have jumped in to Toro Rosso have gone on to have successful careers, even outside of Formula One. You look at Jean-Eric Verne, even someone like Daniel Kvyat. There's so many examples. Brendan Hartley's like a WEC legend. You know what I'm saying? So I think that to me, getting with him leaving and then bringing in Mekis, who's, he's got, some clout around the paddock, yes, sporting director at Ferrari. Obviously, their sporting application hasn't been the best in recent years, but ultimately, senior job, buyer in from the FIA as well. If a if a Hyundai, right? If a Hyundai wanted to buy an F1 team, then okay, we've got Mekis in, we've got buyer in from the FIA, we've got all these new personnel, we're building this established Formula One team. And then you can just slap your logo on it, boom. You can buy it, and it's plug and play. It's ready to go. You don't have to bring in your own personnel necessarily. You don't have to worry about that. We're already getting the pieces in place, We're preparing. It's like when you sell a house, right? Oh, you give it a fresh lick of paint, You might change up the things that you've been meaning to do for a long time. Oh, we're going to sell the place, so we need to make it look good, We need to make it look like someone wants to buy it. And I feel like, again, Tost is a sign of the past, a sign of that team, and he's done an incredible job over his tenure at that team. But if Red Bull want to sell that team, then bringing in someone like Mekis, moving pieces around and making that team look more, appealing and like not a B team anymore, like its own standalone team that can do well. And because AlphaTauri always had an enforced ceiling. It always was going to have an enforced ceiling because it was Red Bull's second. Red Bull were never going to let AlphaTauri or Toro Rosso be quicker than the A team, were they? It was never going to happen. So, yeah, I don't know. Look, we'll see. I've heard rumours that 2020. I would be very surprised. If I could put money on it, maybe I can somewhere. I don't know. William Hill, if you're out there, let me know. Other gambling sites are available, I'm sure. If I'd be very surprised if by the end of this year there's not an announcement that someone has, either publicly bid for AlphaTauri, or it's already done. It's a done deal. Because I think that when you look at that entry fee, right? That entry fee so if you want to start your own Formula One team from scratch, and I think Aston Martin have spent about, quote me, it's been quoted, I'm sure you'll let me know, chat, it's 200 to 300 million, maybe more like 300 million for that new facility for Aston Martin. It could be more than that, I'm not sure, but I've definitely seen a number. So you've got that cost, you've got all the hiring, all of the processes that you need to go through. Hannah, why are you donating? Thank you, I appreciate it. But Hannah, why are you donating to me? I guess it doesn't really matter because it's our money anyway. So you're just donating to yourself. Anyway. I could hear her outside as well. I just... So you've got, okay, let's say 300 million to build facility, wind tunnel, to the calibre of Aston Martins, right? 300 million. Then you've got to go through all this process of hiring hundreds of people who've never necessarily worked together as well. All these pieces come together. Then it's going to then you've got to build a car. Then you've got to, all of these processes, and you've got to pay 200 million. I'm not surprised that $800 million was turned down from Red Bull because, and we're hearing talk around this entry fee going up, this anti-dilution fee that they call it. Apparently it's not enough, according to the teams, 200 million, which, to be fair, that obviously averages out at 20 million a piece. $20 million, and in return, there's one extra competitor who can take prize money off of you. We saw, last season, the difference between Alfa Romeo and Aston Martin. They finished on the same points, but the difference between that was $12 million. I can understand that teams don't see 20 million in their back pocket as enough of an incentive to allow an extra team in. If you hike that to there's talk of 600 million, then that is 30 million in everyone's pocket. An extra 10 million can go a long way, So I don't know. Thank you, Alex, by the way, for the $5. In my opinion, I think if Red Bull and AlphaTauri, they're going to join Formula E or IndyCar as a way to keep the young drivers racing. I guess, you look at McLaren, how they're hiring, various, they've had, Palo and O'Ward on their books for a while now, who are both in IndyCar, both young drivers, both got a lot of potential for sure. I guess I definitely, yeah. I think now, like, it was always a bit of a weird one that, how Toro Rosso or how Red Bull justified having an entire other Formula One team. But, I mean, naturally, if you have one team you're putting all your asset into, then you're gonna, whether it's the engine, whether it's, Red Bull used Toro Rosso to benchmark the Honda engine when they moved from McLaren over to, because Red Bull were still running Renault engines when Toro Rosso were running the Honda in 2018? I could be wrong there. I think it was 2018. They used that team to, give it a year where Red Bull didn't have to take a new engine and they could utilise that team. That was for sure a very clear and obvious advantage that Red Bull had, being able to use that second team for that, right? I don't know. There's many a way to look at this. I want to have a look through. You get next because I'm going live tomorrow as well. I'm doing my pre-race Chinwag for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix tomorrow. I wasn't expecting to go live today, but here we are. And looking at the poll, does this move indicate to you that Red Bull are intending on selling AlphaTauri soon? 893 of you have voted, and 65% of you said yes. And again, look, maybe this is because I already think it's going to happen. So it's like, there's a term for it, isn't there? It's like when you already think something's going to happen, and then something happens that is in line with that, then you're like, oh yeah, that's because of this. Maybe, but I think, again, to me, it's like, you're just giving the house a once over to get it in good condition to then have people come over and view it. And for me, that move kind of is confirmation bias. There we go. Perfect. Confirmation bias. Hello, Hannah. Why are you holding Minton like that? Oh, do you want to see Minton, everyone? Okay. Right. Why is he wrapped in this? Okay, so we have let me go on main screen. You're going to see the intro once again, and once the intro's finished, you're going to see Minton in what's your mother done to you? Why are you wrapped up in this? I guess it protects your decency, right? So, sorry to anyone who's audio only. You can't see Minton, but never mind. You can. We are what? How long are we into the stream? 18 minutes into this mini podcast chat waffle, and here's Minton. You all right, mate? You been sleeping? Yeah, that's not surprising. We actually oh, bless you. Oh, look at him. He's so cute. Sometimes I just look at him on the screen and I'm just like, you are actually adorable. You're a good boy, aren't you? Mwah. Right, I'm putting you down now. Putting you down. Do you want to go back out? Right, hang on. There we go. Go on, out you go. I'm going to leave that open for you to escape if you want to, because I don't want you scratching at the door. Cool, right. I'm going to keep that poll up. I want to hear, chat, let me know what you think. I want to hear some of your takes, whether you agree, disagree, whatever. What are you saying about this? What do we think? Do we think this is just, end of an era of a very, very long career? You can understand by this stage wanting to retire, or is there more to it than that? Are we reading more into it than there actually is? Solace says Honda F1 team inbound. Look, I think if Honda was going to buy any team, AlphaTauri, Honda makes the most sense. If Honda want their own F1 team, they already, again, that they were powering AlphaTauri before they were even powering Red Bull, right? So there's a relationship there between the personnel at Honda, even though I know, who was the guy who led up the Honda engine development. He's now moved to Red Bull Powertrains, I believe. But still, Honda had a relationship with those personnel, with those people at that team. Okay, so that does make sense. If Honda wanted to, I don't know if Meki's, I don't think he's got a relationship with that team, but I mean, again, it feels like there could be more to it than that. But Honda F1 team, if I had to, again, put money on which team would buy Alpha Tauri if it was to happen, which organisation, which company, my money would be on Honda. My money would definitely be on Honda. If this stream was Minton only, it'd have more subs. Probably. Separate Minton cam. Get it in the corner. That's what Ludwig does with his cat, doesn't he? Yamamoto, that's it. It was Yamamoto. Masahashi Yamamoto. There it is. Porsche F1 team. I think Porsche have dropped the bomb. I don't think that's going to happen. And if that happens, Tsunoda and Iwasa would be inevitable for Honda. Jake, exactly. I think, Tsunoda is already at that team. He's established at that team. He's doing well right now. I've been really impressed with Yuki this year. And it's really nice to see as someone who's consistently bangs that drum and been many a time disappointed by Yuki. Finally, he feels like he's coming good. And so, yeah, Honda, you could keep Tsunoda in that seat. Iwasa's doing bits. He's obviously got that Red Bull connection. So we'll also have, he's part of like Honda Formula Dream. That's literally on the AlphaTauri already. Iwasa, Tsunoda, Honda buying that team, it just makes complete sense. Because as much as I'd love for Honda's F1 team to be based in Japan, I don't think that's realistic based off of the calendar still being majority Europe and the Americas. So that would be horrific for that team. So having a European base would make a lot of sense. And again, pre-existing relationship, Honda buying that team ticks all the boxes. And this move, I feel like, makes this. Surely it's Honda. It must be Honda. Surely. Braun GP making a comeback. Maybe. What if Old Minardi became new Super Aguri? Yeah, exactly. Because Super Aguri, to be honest, I can't remember that much about Super Aguri. What engines? I'm just looking now because they had Takuma and Anthony Davidson driving, and they ran. What engines? Did they run Honda engines? I can't even remember. Yeah, they did. They ran Honda engines. Super Aguri was a proper it wasn't a back marker in the same sense of Caterham or any of them, but Super Aguri was a proper vibey team. I loved it. Super Aguri Honda would be seeing that name back would be great, but ultimately I don't think that would manifest, unfortunately. I think having it called the Honda F1 team, if they returned, just having it called that would tick more marketing boxes, Jaguar return, I can't see. I don't know. I think it depends because they're owned by, is it Tata who own Jaguar still? That would be cool to see the name back, but it was such an L that time. That team just achieved nothing, which was such a shame. And then Christian came in and turned it around. Andretti F1 team, yeah. Look, obviously Mario is the Andretti legacy. The name is Italian, and having his own team, we know that they want their own team, and we know that there is resistance for that entry to come in. But yeah, the Andretti Cadillac thing's gone a bit quiet, hasn't it? That has gone a bit quiet. Now, would it make sense? Yeah, I think Andretti buying that team would make a fair bit of sense as well, because we know that Andretti's building that big new facility in Fisher, in Indiana, and that won't be ready for a while. But as the calendar becomes more, particularly America-centric, both North and South, hopefully more South American races would be great. Andretti having that Italian base to kick things off, to get started. They've got Faenza, they've got that facility, got that factory, got that personnel. It gives them time to build that that Fisher's base, right? Gives them time to build that to the stage when then they can move the team over. And we know from Haas, you can have Haas a midfield car at the minute, and they've got one base in the States, one base in Italy, and one base in the UK. They're dotted all around the world. So there's no reason fundamentally why Andretti couldn't do the same. You've already got engineering personnel team in the UK working for AlphaTauri anyway, the aero team in particular, and they're based in Italy as well, in Faenza. So, yeah, I think Andretti as well, it ticks boxes for sure. I think certainly that could be a thing. And then, when Andretti eventually gets to the stage they're ready to move the team to the US, again, that Faenza facility, it's not like they're losing out on a wind tunnel. It's a I'm sure it's an impressive enough facility, but compared to some of the facilities, it's not the same as Sauber. Again, Audi moving that team away from Switzerland, away from Himwell, you're then saying bye-bye to your wind tunnel and all of this massive, mad facilities that they've got there that is part of what you paid for. So it's harder for them to do that. It'd be a bit easier for Andretti to uproot that team from Faenza eventually, which of course would be a shame because it's lovely having two teams based in Italy. And would I rather, say, a Honda buy that team and then stay there and consolidate and build that team around Faenza? That would be lovely. Like, it'd be nice for both to coexist, right? Andretti can have their team in the States that's based in the States. Honda can have their team that's based in Faenza. Boom. That would be good. That would be nice. But alas, I'll just go to this overlay as well, just in case anyone's turning up and doesn't know what's going on, by the way. What else are we saying? Any other strong opinions? Mario's born in Italy, so it kind of feels right. Yeah, again, there is that tie. So there is that tie. And look, I think if we get to 12, it's going to take a while, I think, to get to 12 teams. It's not definitely not going to happen before 2026. I think, I know Andretti were aiming for like a 2024 entry, but that's almost certainly not going to happen. 12 would be sick, and I think that will come in time, because then you've got two more teams making content, two more teams potentially bringing more fans to the sport as well. Ford jumping in with Red Bull, that's going to bring, a particular. I don't know from Australia, any Australians listening, I'm sure some of you will be, whether it's live or after the fact, but Ford's one of them brands that means a lot if you're an Aussie. And Holden, of course. Shame about, the Commodores and the Falcons have gone, but it's a new era now with the Camaros and the Mustangs, isn't it? So, what's for dinner? Are you Hannah somewhere? What's for dinner? Thoughts on the new CEO? Yeah, I don't know too much about. Again, so you've got Mekis to replace Tost as team principal, and then Peter Bayer will join AlphaTauri later this season as its CEO, with his remit to oversee the strategic direction of the team across both its facility in Italy and the UK. Quoted from Autosport. Go find the article on Autosport if you want to read a full breakdown. I'm not going to show it on here because you should read their article because they're the ones who wrote it. So yeah, you've got two big moves, and Franz will be, also it mentions here, Franz is going to be moving. He's not going to be moving to a different team. He's going to be kind of staying on as like a consultant, almost like in a consultancy role. So maybe he'll still have involvement with the young drivers if they think that's something that's worth kind of keeping going, you know what I mean? So Laurent Mekis, yeah, he's French, isn't he? I'm pretty sure he's French. Victoria just came here. What happened? Well, you see on screen. Going to leave at the end of the season. Franz Tost is out of here after 16 years. Legend for sure. Hopefully Lewis knows who he is now. That was quite funny, wasn't it? Oh dear. Any other thoughts? I'm just scrolling through chat. I just want to, if there's any other particular opinions on Liberty Media wanting to buy IndyCar. So that was a quote from Peter Windsor, wasn't it? Who was talking, and whether that's substantiated or not, I really don't know. I mean, the idea of Liberty buying IndyCar and turning it essentially into an F1 feeder series, I think that's what Peter Windsor was talking about. I mean, I hate that idea because I think IndyCar, I don't see IndyCar as below Formula One. Like, I see it as a separate series that is like, motorsport isn't all about Formula One. I'm sorry if that's, upsetting to anyone, but like rally and IndyCar and Formula Drift and Super Formula and whatever, right? All of these different series can coexist. And I think that, getting up to IndyCar's so different. It's so different. Yes, it's open wheelers, but when you look at it, the nuance, it is so different to what we have. It's a spec series first and foremost. Like, it's so different to Formula 2 though. Like, the types of tracks that you race on, the types of cars they handle, they might still be built by Dallara, but they're so different. So I just don't think that I love IndyCar for what it is. I'm really, these last couple of seasons, I've really found myself getting into IndyCar more than I ever have in the past. And I love the nuances that make IndyCar IndyCar. And I love the nuances that make Formula 1 Formula 1. And I think they should be different. And Formula 2 as well. Like, I'm all over Formula 2 now. I love it. And I love it all. But it doesn't all need to be under one thing. Like, no, Liberty, leave IndyCar alone. All right? Just, you've got a good thing with F1. Just focusing on that. All right? It's like bloody Elon Musk. He starts one thing and then he starts 7 other things. And you just focus on one thing. But yeah, so I still think Cadillac F1 is still happening. I don't know. Is this pre-recorded? I mean, that would be impressive, Monkey Smoke, if I could reply to your comment and it was pre-recorded. But maybe it is. Maybe I'm that impressive. Yeah, Andretti Cadillac's gone quiet, hasn't it? I do wonder what's going on there. I do wonder what background conversations are happening. Because, yeah, look, this movie is going to make people talk. This movie is definitely going to make people talk. So we will see. F2 predictions for this weekend. Oh, Jake, you know what, mate? I ain't got Baku is such a mad track. Like, I've got no idea. I think Baku's one of the most difficult races to predict, isn't it? Especially in junior formulas, because it's an absolute mess. But in the best possible way, by the way. It's not a bad mess, a good mess, a happy mess. No more French toast. How the hell did I get a commercial in a live stream? Oh, interesting, Swag. Did YouTube give you an ad midway through this live stream? That's unusual. I'll have to look into that. That's not norm. 12 car pile up into turn 1. Exactly. They did. Okay, interesting. I'm happy for ads to run on this after the fact. But not while I'm live. That's like what Twitch does. I don't like that. Okay, I'm going to make sure that doesn't happen in future live streams. I apologise for that. Okay, cool. You know what? We're half an hour done. I think, Franz slapped Scott Speed into retirement. Was it Franz Tost and Scott Speed who had a fight? I do want to, not to sour. Okay. Well, so apparently, Scott Speed claimed, this was years ago, Scott Speed, who used to be America's most recent full-time F1 driver. Apparently, he got in a physical altercation with Franz Tost back in 2007. Tost denied it, so who knows? All hearsay. But there you go. And I suppose, I guess Tost's comments on saying he doesn't trust the engineers, maybe that didn't help. Maybe they were thinking about getting rid of Tost, and then he said that, and they were like, okay, that's the straw that broke the camel's back, you know what I'm saying? Has he changed his Twitter bio yet? I don't think so. They did oversell the car. I mean, the thing is, look, it's all relative. You know, you can improve your car by a second, but if everyone else improves their car by a second and a half, then you're fish out of water. You know what I mean? Right. Okay. I think we're done. I think I've covered everything I wanted to say. Thank you all for joining me live. Appreciate you all taking the time. F-Bay, Lioness, Saskia, Alex, Jimbo, Abysynth, Sean, Fuzzy, Edgar, Perfect Fantasies, 427, Vooper, Stam, Jake, Liam. Do I think Lauren was the right choice? Hard to say. He's never had that job before. Same as Andrea Stella. Same as James Vowles. But, he's experienced. He's been in the sport for a while. I'm not he doesn't have experience in this role, but everyone's got to start somewhere. And there's no kind of that's how you become a team principal. You just go from a senior management position to becoming a team principal. So hopefully he does a great job because he seems like a sound bloke. We'll see. But thank you, Helita, Liam, Matthias, Luca, A350. Thank you to everyone who's watching this after the fact on YouTube, and thank you to everyone who chose to listen in on your old ears. Tomorrow is my pre-race live stream for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Baku, baby. I'm excited. The poll is on my YouTube community. The poll is live, so go and put your predictions in, or on Twitter as well. I've also put it up there. Thank you all for coming. Take care. Stay hydrated. Be well, be happy, be safe. Goodbye. My name is Tommo. Ciao, adios, I'm done. Au revoir. Arrivederci. Bye bye.